Hey guys, it's Mishel, Deception Bytes, and I am bringing you more Q. And it might be more accurate to say I'm bringing you more and more and more Q because, my gosh, this man's been busy, or woman, or team, or what have you. Now, yesterday I did not post. I was extremely busy yesterday and was unable to get to it, and I apologize, although I did research yesterday's and had meant to bring it to you first thing this morning. Well, here it is, 9:18 p.m. on June 18th, and I am just getting to it, and I do apologize. I don't like it when I'm tardy, but sometimes life gets in the way. Anyway, let's get started. Now, what I intend on doing is starting with the post from the 17th and bringing you up to date with the post from the 18th. Now, keep in mind that as I'm saying this, Q is still out there posting and posting and posting and posting. So, having said that, it's going to be necessary for me to do a subsequent video on June 18th's drops, which is today, of course. So, look for a subsequent video after this one. I am going to try my level best to get to it tonight, and will do so unless it takes a lot of decoding and looking into. So I'm not sure. Anyway, let's get started. So I'm picking up from where I left off in the last video. And how do I know that? Because I left this little note for myself. Left off here in last video. Yeah, I'm like that. Okay, so this is the next post. And it is from an anon, and it's, hang on just one second here till I get to the very top. No, it's not from an anon. It's from Q, and it is, he has pasted in an anon's comments here. And the comment is from June 12th from an anon, and says, "Is Ryan there because he is going to support POTUS?" Now, Q is responding to this and saying, "Who brings the votes to the House floor? Paul Ryan. Who decides? Paul Ryan. Why is this important? What is coming? Full weight of the House. Some must remain clean. Distance from what is about to happen. Q." So Q posts this from earlier drops, and then he leaves us with a link that he obviously wants us to go out and look at. And he says, "Do you believe in coincidences? Have faith. Q." So what we're going to do is we're going to go out there and look at that right now. And here it is. Now, just one moment. Excuse me. I have been drinking like a lunatic today. Water. That could have sounded bad. Anyway, Trey Gowdy rips FBI report by Inspector General. GOP will hit FBI DOJ with full arsenal of constitutional weapons if they don't comply with subpoena, Gowdy warns. So this is what Q wants us to take a look at. House Oversight Committee Chairman Trey Gowdy told Fox News Sunday that House Speaker Paul Ryan led a meeting Friday night with senior members of the DOJ and FBI and made it clear that there's going to be action on the floor of the House this week if FBI and DOJ do not comply with our subpoena request. The House Judiciary Committee has requested more than 1 million documents from the FBI and DOJ relating to the Hillary Clinton email probe, the firing of former top FBI official Andrew McCabe, and reported surveillance of a Trump aide during the 2016 presidential election. But Republicans have accused the DOJ and FBI of stonewalling and intentionally impeding their investigation, despite the agency's claim that fulfilling the request requires a careful review of the sensitive documents. Gowdy said that GOP's action could involve the full panoply of constitutional weapons available to the people's house. I love that line. "I don't want the drama, I want the documents." Absolutely. You go, Gowdy. Under the heading of minor miracles, you had members of the House working on a Friday night, Gowdy said. Under the heading of a minor miracle. That's cute. Okay, I'll go on. Working on a Friday night, Gowdy said. Paul Ryan led this meeting. You had House Intelligence Committee Chair Devin Nunes, House Judiciary Committee Chair Bob Goodlatte, myself, and everyone you can think of from the FBI and the DOJ, and we went item by item on both of those outstanding subpoenas. 7 key takeaways from bombshell DOJ watchdog report into Hillary email probe. Oh, I think that's something entirely different. I thought, never mind. And Paul made it very clear that there's going to be action on the floor of the House this week if the FBI and DOJ do not comply with our subpoena request, he continued. So Deputy Attorney General Rod Rosenstein, FBI Director Chris Wray, you were in the meeting. You understood him just as clearly as I did. We're going to get compliance, or the House of Representatives is going to use its full arsenal of constitutional weapons to gain compliance. I love it. Love it. Last week, emails reviewed by Fox News showed that Rosenstein himself threatened to subpoena emails, phone records, and other documents from lawmakers and staff on a Republican-led House committee during a tense meeting earlier this year in what aides described as a personal attack. Gowdy told Fox News Sunday that the full panoply of constitutional weapons available to the People's House are on the table, including contempt of Congress. I don't want the drama, I want the documents, Gowdy added. In a statement last week, Gowdy said he was alarmed, angered, and deeply disappointed at the revelations in the DOJ IG report released Thursday that analyzed federal investigators' conduct during the Hillary Clinton email probe. The Watchdog's report unearthed new texts from senior FBI officials who investigated both Clinton and Trump campaign, including one in which the number 2 investigator on the Clinton probe, Peter Strzok, vowed to stop Trump from being president. How did that work for you, Peter Strzok? Seriously, how's that going for you? Anyway, Gowdy reiterated on Fox News Sunday that the IG report was deeply concerning. I don't know what special counsel Robert Mueller has, he said. I do know this, that bias is so pervasive, and everyone who has ever stood in front of a jury and had to explain in a way will tell you it is the most miserable feeling in the world, and I've never seen this level of bias. So, there you are. Now, let's go up to the next one. And this is from an Anon, and they said comments by Devin Nunes on Fox News this morning. Mr. Rosenstein, Mr. Wray have to decide. Are they going to be part of the cleanup crew or part of the cover-up crew? Devin Nunes at Fox News, awaiting news today regarding when spying really began. DOJ didn't know a month ago. Why didn't they reveal immediately? At POTUS, Mr. Rosenstein, Mr. Wray at Devin Nunes on Fox News don't get documents that they have been asked for. Monday documents should start flowing with plan by Wednesday morning, or hell to pay. Not going to be pretty. We can hold in contempt. We can impeach. Thinks we are getting close to here. At POTUS, QAnon, and we have an arsenal, and sounds like he has been ready to go for some time now. Do not fear. Stand united and strong. Where we go one, we go all. Thank you, Q and POTUS. Now, Q responds to this with, he's just a response. And generally, in terms of what I've seen with Q, it's always just an acknowledgement. And if there's corrections to be made, Q always makes those corrections. So we can not just assume, but we can know that this is correct. So let's go on. So this is another Anon, and this Anon said, about time Congress acted like it still has some power. We'll see. Intelligence branch had it neutered with so-called national security. Now, Q responds to this and says, Well, because there's a reason that they're acting now like they've got some power, right? There's a reason. They must have information. And so Q is saying, Google op provided undeniable proof. How do you share what you already know legally? Those who don't act now know they cannot hide the reasons why. What a wonderful day, Q. So I wasn't sure what Q was talking about here, to tell you the truth, until I got up a few more posts. So I'm almost leery to start explaining this until we get up a little bit further and you can see what he's talking about. In fact, I think that's what I'll do, because when I was at this post and had not read on, at that point I was a little bit confused about, okay, what is he talking about, Google op? Is he talking about, how we had the picture of the badge and the picture of the bike? And I knew that was probably what he was talking about, but was not entirely sure. And he said, how do you share what you already know legally? Those who don't know now know they cannot hide the reasons why. What a wonderful day, Q. So let's go on. Now, Q makes reference to this. And this is the post that he, trying to make this bigger. It's not working. Come on. There we go. This was the post by Q where he said, access kills. POTUS in good spirits today. Monday strolls are refreshing. 2.5 hours. Q. And remember, the whole stroll thing was, him strolling out onto the White House lawn. And we're going to come back to this whole access kills. And of course, POTUS is in a good spirit today. Of course he is. He's got the info on these guys, and he knows it. So, just keep this in the back of your head here. We're going to come back to this, but I think it's going to make more sense in the future, in the very near future, like minutes away. Okay. Okay, now, here is another post by Q, and this is still from yesterday, the 17th, Sunday, and there's a link here that we're going to go out to, and he's saying, listen carefully. What will this week bring? Well, let's go see.
Welcome back home. We are back on Sunday Morning Futures, and joining me once again, House Intelligence Committee Chairman Devin Nunes. And Mr. Chairman, before we went to the break, you said you want to be part of the cleanup crew or the cover-up crew. That was a very important analysis that you raised, because we are looking at this text from Peter Strzok to Lisa Page, his girlfriend, when he says, no, President Trump will not be, Donald Trump will not be president because we will stop it. That was on August 8th. We just got this information, this text, in the IG report. It's all in the IG report. How come we didn't see this text sooner than this? When we know that just 4 days later, Peter Strzok said to Lisa Page, same couple, he says, we need an insurance policy. We knew that we had that insurance policy text months ago, but for some reason, this text did not see the light of day until the IG report. Why?
Well, what you're going to have to believe, now I'm just telling you, I'm not saying that I believe this, I'm just telling you this is the story that you're going to hear, is that at the high levels of the Department of Justice didn't know about this until a week ago. And the Department of Justice and FBI had only learned about it at the beginning of May. Now, I'm not sure that it's probably all true at the highest levels. They just learned about it. But I think the bigger question is that was this just some technical glitch, as they've tried to claim in the past, or did somebody deliberately get rid of that text? And you have to understand, because that text message is so damaging and shows intent and shows the context of all the other text messages that surround that text message, and it's at the beginning of the investigation, you have to ask yourself, did somebody actually try to remove that text message from the FBI?
So, and by the way,
I think the answer, it's hard for the American people not to believe that that was not removed on purpose.
Well, you are right. The Department of Justice tells us, Fox News, that the IG just gave them that now. So that they just learned about it. It's in the IG report. So we'll watch that. But the broader point is...
Yeah, but on that too, Maria, if I can just expand on that, well, wait a second. You've known about it for a month. Wouldn't it have been important for us to know, the congressional investigators, to know about that even a month ago? If you did just get it a month ago, you probably should have brought it to us fairly quickly.
So explain how Christopher
that's what I would have done, right? If I'm in charge of this and I want to be part of the cleanup, not the cover-up, part of the cleanup, I bring those text messages, I get on the phone and I call the Speaker of the House and all the committee chairmen and ranking members, and I say, look, you've got to see this immediately.
Right, okay.
That's what I would do if you want to be part of the cleanup.
How is it possible that Christopher Wray gets in front of a podium the other day and says, look, we looked at the IG report, and what we've come up with the IG report is that no political bias actually impacted the end results, when we have the head of the Trump investigation, Peter Strzok, sending a text 8 days after he gets the job, we will stop it, 4 days later saying we need an insurance policy so Donald Trump doesn't become president. So how could you actually make the claim that bias did not impact decision making?
So I believe what they're saying, and the media, the left-wing media, is trying to spin this. What they're really saying, what the IG report actually says is that as it relates to the Clinton email investigation, they couldn't prove bias.
Okay.
Which is far different than that they didn't find any. If you read, like I know you've read a lot of that. I read most of it yesterday, flying back from Washington to California. What I see on every single page, you see that. You see bias.
Real quick, because we have a hard break, but I want to know how far you're willing to go. Are you going to go for contempt of Congress? When we come back, stay.
Interesting. I sure hope you guys were able to hear that. I just remembered that I did not check something when I set this up, so I really hope you guys heard that. So what will this week bring? Don't know. Are they going to prove bias? Are they going to, I don't know. I don't know exactly what's going to happen. I'd like to know. There's a lot that could happen. Now, I'm going to depend on you guys to tell me, because I'm going to bring this to you because it's relevant. But this did not come from Q. And so this person or persons has, I know there are more than one that contact me. There are at least two that contact me that have some tie to the intelligence community. I don't know who these people are, and I only know that they're the same because the ID is always different. It's always different, but I know it's the same person because of the way they address me. And they are the only person ever in the world to address me that way. So I know that it's them because I know that it's the name that they gave me for that purpose, I would assume. And I have redacted who it's from because that it's not their real name anyway. I'm quite certain because, well, absolutely I know it's not their real name, but it's how they sign it. So I did want to bring this to you because it's relevant to what we're looking at, especially with this whole Google thing, okay, and with the Clinton emails and whatever. But I do want to make it known that Q said no outside communications, okay? Now, I think that what Q is talking about is people claiming that they have an inside to Q, which I don't. I never have. I don't have any inside information. These people, I believe, work in the intelligence community. I would assume because of the information that they gave me, not all of which I have shared, only a very, very small portion of which I've shared. But I think that it does bear some merit, especially when some of this is given to me before Q even mentions something. So I don't know. I really don't know, but I want your opinion if you want, because a couple people said to me basically, look, Q said no outside communications. And I understand that, but we can take this in light of what it is, because I'm being absolutely 100% honest with you, where this came from, how I got it. I don't know why me. I don't know if there's other people out there that do these videos that have been contacted in this way. I have no idea. I would assume there are, but I don't know that, because I just can't imagine why somebody would just choose me. That's why I say I imagine that there are. So anyway, I'm going to read these to you because I think that they're important to take into consideration. But again, they are not from Q, and they're not to be looked at as, you know what I'm saying? So I hope I make myself clear. But if this makes you really uncomfortable and you don't want me to do this going forward, then I won't, because I do understand that people are, I don't know why this keeps doing this. I do understand why people are nervous about that, especially with what's gone on before and with people trying to divide the community. And that is the last thing that I would want to happen. So there's nothing here, I don't think, that would be divisive in any way, but you let me know in the comments below, okay? So it starts, hi, and the name is redacted. It's to me, but the name is redacted. Q drops, re-emails servers. The tip has only been exposed. There is a massive network globally of file servers, databases. Many are supposed to be government highest security. By hiring Pakistan ISIS agents on order by Hussein, Obama, to be given top secret plus security clearances with no background check, virtually all the most highly sensitive servers and database were compromised. The story isn't private emails. The story is that the private mails were used to communicate IP addresses, usernames, and passwords to foreign agents who paid the Clinton Foundation for unlimited access to hundreds of the most sensitive military and technical technologies. Access was granted based on how much paid to the Clinton Foundation by bad actors. Once the money provided, they were given an email address and passwords. In draft folders on the email account would be a message with link to the secret server along with usernames and passwords. Once no longer needed, the draft was deleted, so nothing sent, received. Hillary once said, "I never sent or received any emails marked classified." The files in the servers/databases her emails left in the draft folder were extremely highly classified, though. Get it? So the actual file might not have been marked, classified, but the folders that it was in that server were highly classified. And what they're saying is, what we have known just by piecing together things that Q has said, is that they were communicating by means of email drafts. So if I have an email account and with Gmail, which I do, and I say to my friend that lives down the road, hey, you know what? Instead of picking up the phone, just log into my email account and here's the name and here's the password. Just log into there, go into the draft folder, and your name will be there and a message to you. Now, I don't see why anybody would do that, but in this case, they had every reason to do that. So I could do the same with people all over the world, right? I could send them, like, you wire this money into my account, and I will give you a name and a password to log in and go into the draft and find, your message. And they could communicate this way without ever anything being sent or received from the server. However, Q also told us, and not this person, but Q, the actual Q has told us that they have it all. They have everything. So if they have copies of those draft folders, these people are in one heck of a lot of trouble, because we know that it was pay to play with the Clinton Foundation. You pay into the foundation and Clinton gives you access to whatever it is you're requesting access to. So that's how it worked. And because we know that, I felt safe to bring this to you, because there isn't anything here that I would say contradicts anything Q has said. So let me go below to the next one, and then we will go on with the Q post. The only reason I'm bringing this up is because this fits in with what is being discussed here, and I'm not just concerned with reading the post to you. I'm concerned that we get a rounded idea, a well-rounded idea of what's happening. Doesn't mean I have all the answers, and that's why I do think it's a good idea to go out and find your favorite Q. I call them Q whisperers. Go find your favorite Q whisperers and, listen to what they have to say, because some people might have really good insight in one area and not so good in another. Nobody has it all. That's why we all need one another. So anyway, let me go down to the next one. Hi, redacted. We are further entering a long-term war, and very little of it is visible to those who are not active combatants. It is a war like none before. The New World Order / deep state clowns have been installing fascism since the 1960s. They would rather destroy the planet than be denied their self-entitled victory. Pure evil. Obama, Jarrett, Clinton's worked with numerous corporations, traders, to provide an extensive network of computers and networks, all secret, to provide millions of terabytes of technical and military secrets to our enemies, including China's own deep state clowns, who, I wish I knew how to shut that off, who U.S. traders are helping to hack into and control any U.S. military aircraft, satellite, or military installation. During the past week, Comey, Hillary Rodham Clinton, Hussein, Eric Schmidt, and several high-ranking clowns from CIA, MI6, met at Google Building 8, Menlo Park, California. They flew into the CIA Moffett Airfield in Mount View, California. They are plotting attacks on POTUS and to launch attacks on U.S. military to cause missile launches, defense failures this summer, to create chaos, to distract, kill, and crush any threat to the New World Order. This is an attack on us, coming from deep state bad actors worldwide, funded by the Rothschild Satanist trillionaires. And it's signed, redacted. I've redacted that. So, okay, I don't know. This isn't any different, really, than what Q has been telling us with the missiles that were shot at the Air Force One, right? We know that they have control of this. So, again, I'm bringing this to you, but certainly not elevating it to the level of Q. But I don't see anything in here that would necessarily kind of go against what Q has said. So anyway, now he's saying that the past week, Comey, Hillary Rodham Clinton, Hussein, Eric Schmidt, and they met at Google's Building 8. So was that what the bike was? Is that why the picture of the bike and the picture of the pass? But if that's the case, I believe, because I'm beginning to wonder if Eric Schmidt is cooperating. I don't know. I could be wrong, but I think that whatever they were meeting there, I do think that Q's got it. I think they have it all. And I think that's why they're doing things like that, to put it out there, to look, we know. Look, we know about this, okay? And, it's got to make them nervous. Because if you did something wrong, if you murdered somebody and then somebody was always making hints and you thought, ooh, you know what, I think they know. I think you'd get pretty nervous and you'd think, what are they going to do with that information? I hope none of you have ever murdered anyone. I certainly have not. But anyway, let's go on. Now, and this person, I clipped this out too because she is of the same mind. She says, I'm more and more convinced Eric Schmidt is cooperating and has turned over proof of Gmail draft communications between the 13 members of Hussein's administration, including Hussein. They know POTUS has everything. The unredacted report will reveal all. POTUS has executive order to compel release, ready to go if necessary. Yep. So let's go on now with the Q posts. I just wanted to throw that in there to hopefully round things out. So this Anon says, Q, Happy Father's Day. You are furthering the divine stride of our founding fathers. May you feel their blessing, and may they shower keen intelligence, power, and safety upon you. And Q responds with this tweet by Donald Trump. My supporters are the smartest, strongest, most hardworking, and most loyal that we have seen in our country's history. It is a beautiful thing to watch as we win elections and gather support from all over the country. As we get stronger, so does our country. Best numbers ever. That is a great... And then Q says thank you and God bless, Q. And he was responding to the post above where he was wished a happy Father's Day, which is very nice. Now, okay, this is just a bigger version of this because it's going to be too blurry for us to see, but I want to show you the whole post before I highlight that. Okay, so here's the next post, and it's by an Anon, and he puts this in here, which we're going to look at in a second. And he says, what will this week bring? Proof RR altered the IG report. Now, RR is obviously Rod Rosenstein. So this week will bring proof that Rod Rosenstein altered the IG report. And Q acknowledges. So we know that that's the right answer. This week, we're going to have proof that the IG report was altered. So let us look at what this Anon brought as proof or to illustrate what he was talking about, or she. So this is the Congress of the United States House of Representatives, June 14th, 2018. And it says down here, I'm sorry because this is really blurry, but I'm going to try to get it. We are concerned that during this time, people may have changed the report in a way that obfuscates your findings. Per Congress Oversight Authority, we request you supply your original drafts along with the final published form. And this is signed by 3 representatives, Matt Gaetz, Ron DeSantis, and Andy Biggs. So that was June 14th, 2018, and they were concerned that the report may have been changed. All right. Then we have Q here on one day earlier, mind you, one day earlier, saying POTUS is in possession of and reviewing the modified, he's reviewing all of these, original IG unredacted report, modified Inspector General report, unredacted report, the Rod Rosenstein version, the modified Inspector General redacted report, Rod Rosenstein version, IG summary notes, re-obstruction to obtain select classified information. Now, where does he say? Now, number 3 will be released tomorrow, and that is the modified IG redacted report, the Rod Rosenstern reversion. So if you're redacting something, you're changing it, right? And if this is Rod Rosenstein's version, then he has obviously altered something in there. And this was given the 13th, and of course this was requested from Congress on the 14th. And down below we have a tweet by Donald Trump, and it was on the 5th of June. And it says, what is taking so long with the Inspector General's report on Crooked Hillary and Slippery James Comey? Numerous delays. Hope report is not being changed and made weaker. There are so many horrible things to tell. The public has the right to know. Transparency. And I think this is interesting because I wonder if there's something in here, like a message or something, because Hope report, well, I guess you could make a case for that being capitalized, for the report being capitalized. All right, never mind. Okay, but the whole point is that, Q said this before they requested it from court. Plus, he said that it was going to be redacted, that there was, it was a redacted version. It was modified by Rod Rosenstein. And down here, he's saying way back in June, the 5th of June, he's saying Hope report isn't being changed and made weaker. Well, we know that's exactly what happened, right? It's exactly what happened. So it's important that we get that report. It's important that we see the original. It's important that we see the unredacted one. Now, I don't think that it's going to be totally unredacted when it gets to the public because, excuse me, for obvious reasons. I mean, there's going to be things in there that are issues of national security. But for the most part, I think that we need to see exactly what happened, who said what, who did what, all that. I think the public has a right to know. All right, so let's go on. Just because we can. Now, this is the next one, and I think this is pretty cool. And it says QAnon. Yeah. And it says Barcelona. The world is watching. Truth. Light. Q. So Q posted this picture from Barcelona. Oh my gosh, I'm going to have to find out how to turn that off. Barcelona, the world is watching. Truth, light, Q. And I do think that that's pretty cool. Now, all right. The next one is posted by Q, and here is the link. Now, before I play this, I want you to know, because this caused me a great deal of consternation and is probably the reason why I didn't post yesterday. Well, one of the reasons. I mean, I really was busy, but I could have posted in the evening, but I was a little bit ticked off. And I'll tell you why. Because I played this, and then I started looking into it. And I thought, okay, this has been heavily edited. And he didn't really say that. So it's been spliced together from things that he was speaking, Obama's speech given at the Bilderberg Group, and it's been spliced together to make it seem like he said that, but he didn't. That's not what he said. And I'll tell you how I know it's not what he said, because I sat and I listened to that whole speech, and I deserve something for that. Let me tell you, maybe something sweet, because I'm having sugar cravings and I could chew off my own arm if it was made of sugar. But anyway, so this, keep in mind that this is not right, okay? It's not right. But Q did correct it later. So we'll get into that, because I think that there were people out there wondering about it. And anyway, I'm going to go ahead and play this now and shut up.
And for the international order that we have worked for generations to build. Ordinary men and women are too small-minded to govern their own affairs. That order and progress can only come when individuals surrender their rights to an all-powerful sovereign.
Yeah, so sure, I was outraged when I saw that. I'm sure you are too. But it was all spliced together to make it seem that way. So Q just posted that with no explanation. And naturally, I looked at that and I said, what? Because as soon as I heard it, I thought, I don't think that he would have said that in front of a group of people like that. I just don't. I think he feels that way. I just don't think he'd do it. So I went out and I looked for the speech in its context, its proper context, and I listened to it. And really, it gave me a headache. But anyway, he said nothing of the sort. So let's continue. I mean, he did say those words. Obviously, those are his, lips and words coming out of his lips. But if you hear it in context, he's not saying what you think he's saying. So here, an anon makes mention of that exact same clip and says, "Holy smokes, they are in for it. You really do have it all." And then Q responds to this person and says, "Happy Father's Day, Q." So at this point, I was thinking, because this is the point that I stopped, because I'm thinking, what on earth? Q is responding to that, and he isn't even questioning that, this was edited. And I thought, you know what? These are the tricks that the left play. We shouldn't be engaging in that, right? I mean, there's enough stuff that these guys have done and said to put them away for a very long time. We don't need to invent anything or to make it seem like they said something that they didn't. I'm not in for that. So at that point, I was like, okay, you know what? I'll keep doing Q, but I'm really wondering at this point. And that is why I need a little bit of time to figure out what on earth, because it threw me for a loop. It really did, because I thought, okay, if Q is putting out this mistruth, then I can't trust him anymore. Because if he's doing that, then he's just as wicked as they are. And so my problem is that I stopped there before, and what was this? This was at 12:05, and this was at, well, I don't know. But this is where I stopped, because I know I did not get to this one. And I was all in a, having a little hissy fit. I guess it wasn't really a hissy fit. It was just a, I was wondering. If I'm going to be doing these, I want to at least believe that Q is who he says he is, and that is trying to do the right thing for the right reasons, hopefully. So next, Q responds to, he makes mention of this, and he says, this Obama speech was given at the Bilderberg conference in Brussels, Belgium on May 23rd, 2014, and Obama's comments are chilling. This was sent by a German friend after YouTube version from the US was pulled. It's unbelievable that Obama actually says this out loud. And of course it's unbelievable because it's not true. So it is unbelievable. I didn't believe it. Even though I know that he was a slime, I didn't believe it. I wanted to look it up right away. So Q is responding to this, but here is where Q redeems himself for me, because he posts a link to the entire video, the entire speech, which I'm not going to play for you because, I'd like you to come back. And if I play that whole thing, you're going to fall asleep and, well, there you go. So anyway, I'm not going to play this for you, but I will try to remember. I'll try to remember. I'm so terrible at this. I'll try to remember to put a link in the description. So Q sends us to the video that is the real video of the entire, and he draws our attention to what we really should be paying attention to. Okay, these other versions, they were spliced together and they were saying what he wasn't saying. But this version is the full version, and Q points out what we should be paying attention to. He says lead in was cover. Exit out was missing what? Now, I did notice the only thing missing when he finished was the music wasn't generally what they play. when a president of the United States exits. It was some classical type music. I noticed that. Now, lead in was cover. I'm not sure. Now, he was talking a lot about the Constitution. I don't think he's going to be able to claim ignorance, and no American president should ever claim ignorance of the Constitution anyway. But of course, we know that he's not American. So, well, if he is, which I don't believe, but even if he was, he would still have not been eligible to run as president because both of his parents were not national-born American citizens. So, anyway, that's it for that video. Again, I will try to remember to put it into the comments because I think it's important that you guys see that that is not what he said. I'm not defending Obama. Well, I am in a sense because, yeah, he's done a whole lot of things. He's done so many things that we don't need to be digging up stuff and making it up. So if somebody, accuses somebody and it's not true, yeah, I'll defend them no matter who they are because we're looking for the truth here. All right. So then next Q gives us a link to a Saturday Night Live skit. Now, I will be honest with you, because of where I am, I'm not allowed to view this because the YouTube gods have conferred that I am not allowed to view this for some reason. So, and Q tells us that we are to look at 2:20 in the video. And then he says, it's coming, Q. Well, I was a little bit upset that I could not see this video, and I had to basically just look around and find somebody that had decoded it. So that's what I did. At 2:20, it says, every kiss begins with Q, which is very odd, right? And Q says, it's coming. So I think what he's saying is it's coming probably means the large scale mocking of Q. Now, we've had a huge mocking of POTUS, right? And you want to see it bad. Oh my gosh, the news here, and hopefully I'll be in the US soon again, but right now I'm in Canada, and the news here, unbelievably biased. They hate Trump. I've never heard one good thing about Trump in Canada, and all of the people, I don't know of anyone here that agrees with Trump. Oh yes, I have one friend that likes Trump, and she's, an awake person. So that's probably why. But anyway, yeah, it's really bad here, and it's just constant mocking of him. So I think that Q is warning us that it's not just going to be POTUS. People are going to be mocking Q, and they already are. I have to erase so many comments on my comments on my videos when they're saying oh, I thought you were smart, but you believe in Q. Well, what's an intelligent woman like you doing believing in Q? Like as if I believe in the Easter Bunny or something. I don't know. It's just weird. So. Anyway, I know I'm in good company because there's people far smarter than I that are following Q. So there you go. So here an anon says, Q's saying the anti-Q talk is about to go mainstream in the biggest way. And Q is acknowledging that, basically, and then provides a link that proves it. And that link was with Saturday Night Live saying, sorry. Q provided this first, the link to this. And then this anon up here said, Q is saying anti-Q talk is about to go mainstream in the biggest way. And Q acknowledges that, but then goes further and provides this link to Snopes, which we're not going to go out to right now because it's not really important. I'll tell you what Q is telling us here. Snopes building an algorithm to now track and refute all claims as false. So Snopes is now building this algorithm so that anytime there's a narrative that the left doesn't like, or they don't think that we should be thinking, because they have to tell us what to think and what to do and what to eat and what to wear, and hold our hands and follow us to the bathroom. That. So Snopes is now going to just automatically track and refute these claims as false. And also they have contracted with Facebook, that great pillar of free speech, Facebook, and they're going to work with Facebook to try to counteract all the fake news. Now, of course, fake news is any news that they don't agree with. Any narrative that they disagree with is fake news, and it's going to be refuted as false. So it's really hard to red pill people when they start Googling things and the only thing that comes up is that, oh, this is false, this is fake news, this is, conspiracy, blah, blah, blah. It's hard. So that's why, I do use Google, but I more often use DuckDuckGo. But it annoys me that they're telling us what to think. And anyway, I do have more on that, but I'll get going so that we can move through these. I am hoping to bring you a short video on something that someone sent me that's going on overseas, but they can't get it out to anyone because they can't make it, it's being so censored. So let me go on for now. Okay, so Q here says, responds to the same Snopes theory of the Texas Santa Fe shooting, and it says, it's the same post, and then Q responds to that and says, for a LARP, we sure do get a lot of coverage. And must be all the original pics. Delta today, word for word, +7 POTUS. How many days in a week? 7. Enjoy this show. Q. I really probably should have captured that link and gone out to it. And I don't think I did. I think I just clipped them, so I can't go out to that link. Anyway. Let me go on here. I did put some stuff in here about Snopes. Is Snopes a credible and authoritative source of information? Of course, we all know that the answer is no. Snopes is now 50% owned by an ad agency, Proper Media, and they make money by generating millions of views on the third-party advertisements on their website. It simply makes sense for them to seek out articles that are viral to debunk so that they can piggyback on that traffic and generate more advertising revenue. Snopes was founded by a husband and wife team who are now in the middle of a contentious divorce in which founder David Mickelson has been accused of embezzling $98,000 of company money to spend on himself and prostitutes. Snopes now has a hired team of suspect fact-checkers who collaborate to debunk falsehoods that are trending on the internet. These fact-checkers reportedly have no editorial oversight and do not follow standard journalistic procedures, such as interviewing the authors of articles they are trying to debunk to get all sides of the story. Snopes doesn't have a formal screening process for hiring fact-checkers and for evaluating applicants for any potential conflicts of interest. Without such standards, it is very easy for them to be infiltrated by those who work for the industry and who have a hidden agenda. Absolutely. Now, in terms of this, the 7 Delta today, word for word, 7 POTUS, how many days in a week, we're going to get to that, okay? So coming up, it'll make sense. But for now, we know that Q is pointing the finger at Snopes and saying that Snopes now has this algorithm that automatically disputes any claims that go against their narrative. And then he goes on again to talk about Snopes when this anon said, Snopes is run by the left. Anything but impartial fact checkers. The more they attack Q, the stronger we become. And yes, they really are. They are run by the left. Absolutely, they are. Otherwise, Facebook would not be, employing them. So, anyway, Q responds to that and says, review lawsuit, review GoFundMe plea, review financial disclosure, review formation date, review initial investors, controlled, Q. Now, we know this, so I didn't spend time going out and reviewing all this stuff about Snopes because we are already fully aware of how infiltrated and how dirty they are. So, they're no different than the deep state. They're in bed with them. So, let's go on. Alrighty. Now, I think I did this is an anon that posted this, but I have made it bigger. And then Q has responded to it by just acknowledging it. So we know it's right. We know that what this anon posted is right. So let's look at the bigger version. And she said, make it big. And ooh, it was big. Okay. So here is Q post from 6/17/18. He says, Happy Father's Day. That was given at 12:48:58. All right. That's the first thing we look at. Then we come down here, and this tweet bot, where Trump gave this return tweet to the White House, Happy Father's Day, and it was today at, well, today meaning when? I don't know. Are we on the 17th or 18th now? I'm confusing myself. 17th. So this was yesterday. So it wasn't today. It was yesterday. All right. So 12:48:58, Q sends a post in the HAN. It says, Happy Father's Day. Down here at 12:55, which is 7 minutes later, Q posts, Donald Trump retweets the White House, Happy Father's Day. Okay, so that's 7 minutes. Then, and the same thing, Happy Father's Day, Happy Father's Day. Then we come down here to 7 Delta today. Now this is 6/17, 7 Delta today. Word for word, +7 POTUS. So Q posted this and POTUS posted this 7 minutes later, +7 POTUS. How many days in a week? 7. Enjoy the show. So we know, and let's come down here. Yeah, today at 12:55, and this was 12:48. So makes sense, right? And it says Q posts at 12:48, POTUS retweets White House at 12:55, +7 minutes after Q. Word for word. Do you believe in coincidences? Well, no, we don't. We know that Q and POTUS are coordinated, that they coordinate their posts, right? So, yeah, nothing strange about that. We already know that happens all the time. Just more proof. So here, I like this. Here's an anon. Excuse me. A yawn just attacked me. Here's this anon, posts 2 screenshots of Donald Trump's tweets. Why was the FBI's sick loser Peter Strzok working on the totally discredited Mueller team of 13 angry and conflicted Democrats when Strzok was giving crooked Hillary a free pass, yet telling his lawyer Lisa Page that we'll stop Trump from becoming president? Witch hunt. Well, it certainly is a witch hunt. And then this one, let me make it a little bit bigger. The Democrats should get together with their Republican counterparts and work something out on border security and safety. Don't wait until after the election because you are going to lose. I love it. Because you know that's why this whole immigration thing has come out, right? It's about elections. It's about making the Republicans look bad for the elections. Come on. And the thing is that they're so much better under Trump than they were under Obama. And yet, you know, here's Hillary Clinton tweeting out a storm today about how, awful it is and how, we're hypocrites because Christians are hypocrites if they, because of this immigration. And yet she's one of the staunchest supporters of abortion. Like, are you kidding me? Like, really, honestly, it's surprising that she hasn't burst into flames. I'm just saying. And Q responds to this and says, trolling is fun. Yes, it is. It really is. Okay. So let's come up to here. And let me go all the way to the top. All right. I think that's where it starts. We are still only on yesterday, and he has a huge dump for today. That doesn't sound right, does it? A huge dump. That doesn't sound right at all. Okay, yeah, it starts up here. Okay, so Q posts this, and it says, it's the June 16th, 2018 letter to House Judiciary Committee, Strzok to testify before Congress, no immunity, will not invoke Fifth Amendment. Now, this is a post from April 27th by Q, and it says, Peter Strzok, Deputy Assistant Director of Counterintelligence, cooperating witness, power removed. So, that's interesting. Now, I'm sure you remember this, because I do. And he listed these people who were cooperating, power removed, blah, blah, blah. Now, Lisa Page, cooperating witness. Oh, cooperating. So, this is good. Strzok to testify before Congress, no immunity, will not invoke the Fifth Amendment. And this says, the Honorable Bob Goodlatte, Chair, House Judiciary Committee, Special Agent Peter Strzok. I represent Special Agent Peter Strzok. I have read press reports that you are initiating the process to issue a subpoena to Special Agent Strzok to testify before your committee. While you are, of course, free to continue pursuing this process, it is wholly unnecessary. Special Agent Strzok, who has been fully cooperative with the DOJ Office of Inspector General, intends to voluntarily appear and testify before your committee and any other congressional committee that invites him. Isn't that coincidental, seeing that Q told us way back in April that he was a cooperating witness? This was April 27th. This was June 16th. And that is, I would assume, his lawyer. And Goldman is the last, Eitan Goldman. So, that's pretty big stuff. I don't care who you are. That's big stuff. Now, Q said, public learned today. Why? What must be finished? Why still employed? Purpose? Well, why is he still employed? Right? Don't you think that he'd be, No, this whole process has to be finished. All this process has to be finished. Lisa Page released after. So, Peter Strzok will be released after. Just because something isn't public doesn't mean. And then he put DOJ texts, emails. Now, let's go take a look at what Q is pointing out for us to have a look at. CIA liaison is first casualty of conflict between intelligence agency and Trump. Retired Marine was abruptly let go from position, informing relevant White House officials about covert operations following clash with NSC official. And that would be the National Security Council. When the history of Donald Trump's war with the U.S. intelligence community is written, the name of the conflict's first casualty is likely to be recorded as the former Marine officer is still a serving CIA official. That Marine official was the CIA's liaison to the White House, whose duties included bringing relevant White House officials with appropriate security clearance into the loop without covert operations. According to current and former White House and intelligence officials, he lost a bureaucratic struggle with his nominal boss, the National Security Council's controversial intelligence director. Multiple former colleagues described the former CIA liaison as a consummate professional with no history of infractions. But late one afternoon in mid-March, the retired Marine was abruptly informed that his services were no longer needed, and he ought not to come to work the next day. Co-workers were shocked at a display that seemed designed to humiliate him. Excuse me. It was the most disrespectful thing they could have done, said a White House official familiar with the incident. He's a good man. What happened to him was fucked up. Excuse my language. Over a month later, the CIA was not sent a replacement liaison to the White House, though there are other agency officials on loan there. The ex-liaison has not been accused of any crime or abuse and has returned to the CIA. The liaison's removal was first reported by the Washington Post following a clash with Ezra Cohen-Watnick, the 30-year-old intelligence director on the NSC staff to whom he reported. Cohen-Watnick was a junior case officer at the Defense Intelligence Agency, where he caught the eye of Michael Flynn, the ex-DIA director and first national security advisor to Trump. When Flynn came to the White House, Cohen-Watnick was among the Flynn deputies, whom career national security staff came to view as a clique, divisively known in intelligence circle as the Flintstones. For their part, the so-called Flintstones reviewed the career staff as Obama loyalists and excluded many of them from national security decision-making. When Flynn's downfall came, owing to the way he misled Vice President Mike Pence over contracts with the Russian ambassador, his ultimate replacement, the current National Security Advisor, H.R. McMaster, sought to oust Cohen-Watnick. The CIA, which Trump had for months distrusted Flynn and was uncomfortable with Cohen-Watnick remaining as an intermediary between Langley and the White House, but McMaster lost out to Cohen-Watnick, who persuaded strategist Steve Bannon and Jared Kushner, Trump's son-in-law, to protect him. A Newsweek profile reported that Cohen-Watnick's parents have ties to Kushner, an added asset for Flynn. They hated him. They absolutely despise him, a former senior intelligence official said of the CIA's view of Cohen-Watnick. The CIA declined comment for this story, and the White House did not respond to a request for comment. Cohen-Watnick's moment of prominence came in late March when he was exposed as a channel for information used by the House Intelligence Committee Chairman Devin Nunes, another Flynn ally, to distract from an investigation into Russia's connection with Trump affiliates. A key figure in that investigation is Flynn, who received tens of thousands of dollars for a speech in Moscow from RT, a news channel that CIA considers an adjunct of official Russian propaganda. Reportedly, Cohen-Watnick provided Nunes with documents purporting to show improper surveillance on Trump's allies and allegations Nunes made while observing the narrative, politically convenient for the White House, emerged from the White House itself. Nunes later reluctantly recused himself when the revelation of White House involvement sparked a political outcry. Subsequently, both Democrats and Republicans who reviewed the documents considered them anodyne, a far cry from Nunes and Trump's portrayals. Some sources considered the removal of the CIA liaison to be an act of retaliation for the attempt to get Cohen-Watnick off the NSC. The episode occurred in mid-March before Nunes made his allegations. Other sources pointed to attempts by the former CIA liaison to stop Cohen-Watnick from taking actions which a White House official declined to describe okay, I'm sorry. I think I've explained before that I used to have a speech impediment and some words are difficult for me, but characterized as appeasing to operationalize the NSC. In U.S. national security circles, that term evokes the idea of using the NSA. Okay, you know what? I don't know why this is so long and what he is trying to tell us here. CIA liaison is first casualty of conflict between intelligence agency and Trump. Informing relevant. So I'm really, actually, this whole story is new to me. I mean, I know about Flynn, but I've never heard the name Cohen-Watnick. I don't know if you guys have or if you're familiar with all this, but this is something I'm going to have to look into further. Because I'm bumbling through this and I'm annoying myself. So I really need to look into this further. But let's go back to what Q has to say here and maybe we can figure it out. So just because something isn't public doesn't mean, and then he says DOJ attacks emails, and then he makes reference to this that we just looked at. And he said CIA down 19 this year alone. Meaning that 19 people have been let go, I would imagine, or resigned, or whatever, or been fired, whatever. When will records be unsealed? Shock and awe. Projection. Attack POTUS Foundation. And yes, the acting New York Attorney General is suing the Trump Foundation. And why? Well, that's a good question because there's nothing there. There's nothing there. So why this witch hunt against the foundation? I think just to keep it in the news, to put it into people's minds that there might be something there, right? But gee, why not the Clinton Foundation? That's what POTUS is saying, or Q is saying here. You know, they're attacking the POTUS Foundation. Why? Clinton Foundation, it seems to be free. They're not doing anything about that. Nightmare, awake, slush fund, children, claim, political attack, case against POTUS. Yeah, a case against POTUS is a political attack. Absolutely it is. Projection. Yeah, projection is when say you have a husband and he's always accusing you of running around. Always. He's always suspicious. He always thinks that you, might have a boyfriend off somewhere that you're seeing. He's following you. He wants to make sure you're at work. Now, why might he be doing that? Projection. Generally, people that do that are doing those things themselves. Generally, the people that are accusing others the loudest are guilty of those things themselves. Not always, but in a case like that, generally, because that is in his heart, he's accusing you of that being in your heart. How do I know that? Well, let's not go there. So, he's saying projection. Attack POTUS Foundation. So they're attacking his foundation, accusing it of the very same things that the Clinton Foundation really is doing. And it is a political attack. Absolutely it is. So POTUS and Russia. Why? Hillary Rodham Clinton, Hussein, etc. and Russia. Yeah, it's like they're accusing others of doing what they themselves are doing. And that has been in their toolbox for a very, very, very long time. And I've worked for people that were sort of deep state people themselves. And that's exactly what they did. whenever they were accused, they'd start accusing others of the same thing. Just, it's amazing. It's amazing. They all take their plays from the same rule book, I'm telling you. Anyway, claim political attack regarding case against POTUS. Pattern. Yeah, it is a pattern. It is a pattern. They do the same things over and over and over again. They're not creative people. They're not. They're really, really not. They have the same playbook and they take the same plays from the same playbook. And once you know and you have the key to unlock that, about what they're doing, it's like you see it everywhere. Like once you realize how they spin the news, it's like you look at it in a whole fresh way and you think, how did I ever believe this stuff? Seriously. Anyway, let's go on. Okay, now, here is the next post by Q, and he points to this and he says, important to remember now. I think, just one second, because I think, well, let me go on with this, okay. Because I did have that name. Anyway, let's go look at this. And we are on the 18th by now, so we are starting into today's. Fired White House official hired by DOJ at Trump's insistence. Ezra Cohen Watnick. Okay, now we get the connection between Ezra Cohen Watnick, a controversial former national security aide to President Donald Trump, who was pushed out of the White House by H.R. McMaster, is rejoining the Trump administration. In his new role, he will serve as Attorney General Jeff Sessions' national security advisor. Okay, now I understand the last thing we read. Makes sense, doesn't it? A 31-year-old former intelligence officer, Cohen Watnick, was brought on to Trump's National Security Council by Michael Flynn, the president's first national security advisor. When Flynn's 24-day tenure ended in February of 2017, his replacement, H.R. McMaster, began cleaning house, but he wasn't able to remove Cohen Watnick, who reportedly used his alliances with Jared Kushner and Steve Bannon to stay in the White House. McMaster eventually got his way, pushing out Cohen Watnick next summer after he became involved with Representative Devin Nunes and his attempt to prove Trump's claim that President Obama wiretapped Trump Tower. Okay, this is making sense. It's all making sense. So this guy, Cohen Watnick, was with Flynn, and they were on Trump's side, and then he connected with Devin Nunes. He had connections to Kushner and Bannon, and he was trying to prove Trump's claim that that Trump Tower was wiretapped, which it was. He then went to work for Silicon Valley tech giant Oracle, according to Talking Point's memo, which said his return to the Trump administration has been in the works for months. So Trump's bringing him back, and he's obviously pro-Trump. With McMaster out of the way, Trump moved to bring back Cohen Watnick, Bloomberg reported Wednesday. Trump personally ordered the Department of Justice to hire, Bloomberg says, despite a general policy not to rehire people who were fired. So he has got to be very important to this process. He's got to be. And why? Because Q is saying important to remember. So let's remember it. Now, this is the next one, and it is Q is posting this tweet by Devin Nunes. And Devin says, can anyone tell me who the DOJ lawyer is that speaks French via text in the IG report? This will save a lot of time in the hearings this week, so my colleagues won't have to ask this question. And then Q says, see next, eggshells, Q. Not sure what that means. It seems like something else happened with this, though, on further. I'm not sure. Now, Q then posts this, and this is, it's an old Q post from May 4th, and it's where all this was updated. It says James Baker, like this, he gave this list and then he gave the updated list. And over here is the updated list. James Baker fired, removed. Lisa Page fired, reported today, resigned, false, testimony received, tracking, Mike Cortan, and it goes down through all these people that have been fired or removed or whatever. And then it says conspiracy, fake news, the swamp is being drained, trust the plan, justice, Q. So Q is just reminding us, going back down through here, of the people, Rachel Brand, Associate Attorney General, number 3, official behind Deputy Attorney General Rosenstein, fired, forced. So yeah, it just goes through that, which we've gone through before. Now, next, Q gives this very, very, very odd tweet. Or not tweet, but post. He says, D. Morning sun brings heat. Full moon coming. Undiscovered stars learned. Missions forward. Q. Now, I think this is a message not for us personally, although I do think that there is some stuff in here for us, and I think it's meant to provide proofs, because what happened today, we had the announcement of a new space agency. Trump is going to start a space agency within the government. So is he talking about mission forward into space? Because this all has to do with space, the sun, the moon, the stars, right? Mission forward into space. But I think it has another meaning. I think for us, it's meant to be a proof, because this is Q writing this, and then Trump talks about forming a space, is announced that he's forming a space agency. So there's that, but also I think it's a veiled message to the Democrats. The morning sun brings heat. Is that tomorrow morning? This is the 18th. Is there something tomorrow morning that's going to bring heat? I don't know. Then he says full moon coming. Well, when's the next full moon? Let's see. The next full moon will be overnight on Wednesday and Thursday of June 27th and June 28th. That's because the full moon occurs at 12:53 a.m. Eastern Daylight Time. So depending on which time zone you live in, the full moon will be at its best late Wednesday night, June 27th, or in the wee hours of Thursday, the 28th. So the 27th, 28th is the next full moon. And Q is saying the full moon's coming, so what is happening on the 27th or 28th? Then he says undiscovered stars learned. Now, I can take this one of two ways. Going with my theory of the announcement of the space agency, maybe there have been undiscovered stars they have come across, which has necessitated them forming this space agency, because perhaps they have learned something and need to, I don't know, I don't know, to explore these stars. I don't know. I'm just throwing this out there, but with the theory that this is meant for the Democrats as a message, a veiled message, morning sun brings heat. Full moon coming, something's coming on the 27th, 28th, and undiscovered stars learned. Maybe some undiscovered witnesses have been found, or maybe some things have been uncovered that the Democrats think have been purged or destroyed or don't exist. I don't know. Maybe some people have decided to come forward and testify that they would never expect. I don't know. But I suspect, just knowing Q, that it has a double meaning. So that's how I'm reading that it has a double meaning. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe it's straight up a message for D, who in the past has been the Democrats. I don't know who else this would be, but so maybe it's just straight up a message to them, or maybe it's a way also to prove his identity by saying, you know, missions forward, and then he announces the creation of the space agency. So now, let me see when. Let me see. Okay. All right. This starts here. Now, you know something? I think I'm going to break here because I know for a fact that this video has gotten to be very long. And I know we still have quite a few to go through. So the next video is going to be probably as long because I've got to go through the ones that I haven't reached and then the ones that Q is posting now. And goodness only knows he was on turbocharge post and posting one right after another. So I'm going to go out and look at that. But at any rate, I will bring you another video this evening covering June 18th posts. Thank you so much, guys. I appreciate you listening, and have a good night. Stay safe.